Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining the Top Rig Fishing Show. I have with me today my best friend for fishing, if you would call him my BFF. He's my best fishing friend. And well, that doesn't sound so good, Jim.
It's sounds weird.
Oh, you don't want to be my BFF? All right.
I'll be your BFF.
You'll be my BFFF?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a couple extra F's in there for
Yeah, I don't know what that extra F actually stands for. So
I have ideas, but
yeah, okay. All right, so let me go into sort of the thoughts for the show here, and we'll share it with everyone. So as I told you, what I really want to do is share some of the videos that we watch, fishing-related videos and pictures, share information that we get, and comment on some of the videos we see out there. So there's a lot of people that have their own fishing channels. So this is a way for us to expose other people to other channels, but also to provide our own commentary. So we might not agree. We might have a lot of things we find in common. So we'll discuss that. And then, we can talk about new Top Rig fishing merchandise. So as we add merchandise to the website, we'll maybe show some information on what's been added, what's new, what we've tried. But most importantly, share our love for the sport. Gosh, it was, do you remember what year it was that we started American Axle? How long ago was it since we first started?
1998.
Yeah, 1998. I think it was actually was it right before Dakota?
Yeah, it was 98, 99 area.
Yeah, so, that's when we started. Gosh, that's 25 years ago.
Yeah, it seemed like forever.
So ever since that first pike that that you caught at Small Boat Harbor. So all right, so we're going to share that we've got 25 years of experience together, then of course fishing that we've done on our own before that. But I think my fishing experience really exploded when we started fishing together. I mean, that's when we really started putting our hearts and souls into it. So all right, so we also plan on providing our own tips and tricks. I think Jim has a video he's going to share today to provide some of his tips on. I'll let him introduce that later. And then we also want to answer our viewer questions. So we're growing our viewer subscription list, but hopefully it will grow over time. People can ask questions in the comments, and in our next video, we'll answer those questions. I'd like to do things like raffles, giveaways. We could even do, miniature tournaments or something like that. That'd be fun. So, and then, most importantly, we want to show support for members. So this is not just a show for us. This is a show for the people that join the channel, that want to be included in this. It'd be great to eventually meet people, pick a spot to meet. Jim and I are both Christians, and we love everyone. We don't single anybody out. We don't hate anybody. We show love and support for everyone. And that's what we want to do through this channel too. So, if you would like to ask for any, ask any questions, ask for prayer requests, just need someone to talk to, we're here for that too. So, we might love fishing, but I think our first calling is to be there for the people that we work with and meet with every day. So, we want to join that with you or do that with you. Any other thoughts, Jim?
I was wondering, am I able to win the merchandise?
Well, okay. Yeah, we'll see what's available, and
That's the first thing I thought of. Was the only question I had. Like,
yeah. Well, if we get some sponsors,
I want to win free stuff, but probably not.
We'd have to show how it's fair and square for everybody. So if we do it, get ourselves included in any handouts we do, it's got to be fair. So that would be the key if we decide to go that route. Okay, so let's move to video 1, and let me share my screen. So let's share a different screen here. New share, and I'm going to share this one. And you gotta do this and this, share. Okay, so you should see your video, right, Jim?
Yeah, this video here, I mean, I don't know if you can tell from the video, I'm rather large and I like to eat. So this video here shows my favorite thing, besides eating the fish, is cleaning them. And I don't know about you, but I don't like any bones, and I don't like any belly meat. I just like that, the premium top strap of the meat, the loin of the fish up at the top. And this video describes how to clean a good-sized crappie we caught probably in the early 2000s. Ice fishing either at one of the lakes around western New York. It might have been even Simcoe, probably Chautauqua Lake near Jamestown, New York, that this guy came from. But you can go into the video. It's pretty self-explanatory. It's how I clean a fish, and I actually use this technique for most of my fish. Everything from perch, walleye, to even larger ocean species that I clean nowadays, a snapper. So go ahead and...
All right, I'll start it up. Let me know if you want to pause it for anything.
Sure.
Okay.
Hello everyone. Today we're going to be cleaning a crappie that I caught yesterday at Lake Chautauqua. This is the way I clean them, boneless fillet style. First you make a cut here behind the head, like so, and then you just cut along the gill.
Don't cut yourself.
No, always cut away and always use a sharp knife.
Go back here to the back, you push down all the way down to there, come up the back side. This is a big guy, he's about 12 inches. He was my first one I got last night, but not my last.
I wish I had a few that size when I was out ice fishing last week.
Bones on the rib cage.
As you can see, I just float the knife along the rib cage. I don't push it in, I don't force it, I let the knife do the work. And you just slice down the belly of the rib cage, that way you're not penetrating into the belly. Bones.
Pop right out of the skin. Push the knife.
Skin on, the tail connected, so it...
And that's how
holds it in place conveniently.
Schaefer cleans a crappie.
Yep, quick and easy.
Ice fish in 2013.
The fire's dead. Stop.
Take care.
Yeah. Okay, so let me stop sharing here. Okay.
One thing I miss is cleaning fish when they're cold. It's a lot different when they're, in South Florida here. After you catch them, it starts to warm up. Cleaning ice fish, not frozen, but ice cold. I don't know, the meat just comes off easier. You got more control of the knife, it seems like.
So throw them into a bucket of cold ice for sure when you catch them. What do you think about bleeding fish?
I tend to do it when I'm thinking. A lot of times I think of all these things that I'm going to do when I catch a fish, and then you start catching them, and then just you lose your mind. You lose all the plans that you're going to do. Like, oh, I'm going to bleed it, or I'm going to do this to it. So I'm definitely in for bleeding. Most of the fish I taste pretty good without bleeding, but there's some on my list like mackerel and bluefish that I catch nowadays, and I like to bleed them out. When I'm up north, the smallmouth bass you catch out of Niagara River, I like to bleed them out. I keep a couple for some sandwiches and a good fish fry. But it makes the meat taste better, I think. Yeah.
And what about soaking them? I know I've heard soaking them in like milk or
Milk.
buttermilk.
Yep. You know, yeah, watch buttermilk do a lot more acid in buttermilk. That's good for chicken to tenderize meat and chicken. But the regular like D milk, I just used it about 3 days ago with some. The weather was kind of iffy right here in South Florida. I was craving fish, and we buy a Covina or Corvina fish, and it's a light, mild, flaky fish. But it was maybe a day or two old, so a little bit of the milk trick works good. I've heard of using milk with some catfish fillets to take some of the gamey, fishy flavor out of it. But yeah, you know, I was frying it up in nuggets, so I soaked it in milk, and then I used the milk as a binding batter for the flour, and then the egg wash, and then I actually was doing it in panko breadcrumbs with coconut.
Nice.
Coconut fried chunks of fish, the fish fingers. Yeah.
Yeah, for the viewers, Jim is the chef around here. I'm definitely the hack. Jim is the person that likes to cook.
Yes, I do. I actually, on the side, I volunteer for the United States Coast Guard. I'm an auxiliary chef, level 1. I can cook for active member Coast Guard crew on the ship or at port. And I'm just in the beginning of the program, so I belong to the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. That's one of the hats I wear is auxiliary chef, assistant, culinary assistant for the United States Coast Guard. So,
nice.
Yeah, I definitely like to cook, and I do most of the cooking at home. And
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Hoping to share some recipes with you and your viewers next time around.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to do this at least once every week or 2 weeks, you know, whatever our schedules allow for. But yeah, with that schedule, we'll have plenty of videos to go through or recipes, whatever we choose to do. So that should be good.
I'm actually in the middle of writing a cookbook, so maybe I can
nice.
share some of the seafood sections with you, or the non-seafood sections of you, some bits and pieces. That's something I might be selling someday in the future.
All right, so let's go to my video next here. So we're going to go to this one. Share that. All right, so this video is just a vermilion snapper seminar that I found. And you and I have probably done some of our best fishing on vermilion snapper. We caught a lot of vermilion when we've been out there. So I thought this would be a good video to share. We can talk about it a little bit. It's 13 minutes. I might skip through some of it. So, you know, in fact, well, let me get it started and I'll skip through.
Venue. Learn more online.
Hey, on this pro tip, I want to talk to you about vermilion snapper. You know, vermilion.
By the way, I really like Florida Sport Fishing. They have a lot of videos. These guys are out there all the time. Have you ever watched these guys, Jim?
Yes, I watch it for the report. They're on they have the channel on YouTube, and they're also on the Florida Fox affiliate.
Right, and I think they fish pretty much, you know, right in your area, you know, where I used to live too.
Yep.
But yeah, you see them out in that area all the time. The other big one, obviously, we were just talking about this, was Deer Meat for Dinner. He lives, I think you were saying, in Hope Sound.
Yeah, just a little bit south from here.
Yeah, and you see him cruising out the Jupiter Inlet. So, you know, we could probably share some of his stuff too. So let me go ahead.
Or perhaps the most underrated of all snapper, and maybe it's because they don't reach, you know, gigantic status, with the record being somewhere around 6 pounds and the average fish 1 to 3 pounds. But that's okay, because they're absolute great day savers when the bite is slow on some of the other more prized targeted bottom fish. They're fantastic on the dinner table, aggressive, generally easy to find, and just a great all-around target for a variety of anglers in different ages, different skill levels.
All right, let me move ahead here.
Just pulled up to the spot here, 255 foot, right on top of the wreck.
Yeah, 200, but that's about how deep we were when we were out with, what's his name?
Salty Days?
Charlie? Yeah, Salty Days, yeah. So I think that's about how deep we were with him, right?
Yep, yeah, well, along that ridge.
Yeah, so it's interesting that he's picking the same depth range.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, let's see what he has to say.
we're at 245, about 10 feet of relief, which means that wreck comes up off the bottom about 10 feet. Now, proper positioning is everything. Absolutely crucial when you're targeting these vermilions. And keep in mind, you can catch these snappers around the entire state of Florida. They're readily available year round. You know, it's all about finding that magic depth. They can be found in 80 to 300, 350 feet, but I find that 225 to 250, 275 on the high end, that range right there is ideal. So any sort of wrecks or structure will typically hold a vermilion snapper. But as I mentioned, positioning is everything. We're not anchoring on these spots, we're drifting. We're drifting across.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did too. It'll be curious to see if he's using electric reels for this.
Yeah, at that depth it gets a little, especially if you're hooking more than one, you know, running one more hook. We've had experience where we had 3 hooks, and you get 3 of them guys on there at once, and you're at 250 feet. It takes some muscle to get it up. I mean, you can get up the one time, and then the second time around, it doesn't become that much fun. That's where the electric reels really came in.
Yeah, exactly. They're expensive, but worth it. All right, so let's skip ahead to the bait section here.
Now, when it comes to bait, I'll tell you what, there's absolutely no better bait than squid. Vermilion snapper, they can't resist it. So a fresh piece of squid is really the ideal bait that you're looking for.
And again, that's what we were using, right? I think.
Yeah, yep, squid. Sometimes we mix it up with a little bit of grunt meat. You know, we use our grunts that are the smaller, the variety of snapper that are most prominent in, you know, and most wrecks, the small versions, which can get good size and keep them too, but they're great for bait. There's like a 100-pound limit on them all day long, but you can use them as bait, and that also seems to bring up the vermilion and other species as well.
Yeah.
For. Now, you can get away with some meat fish, you know, any sort of bait fish cut into strips, but if you only had one bait, it would be squid. So you'll take that whole squid, you can cut the head off, you can cut that head in half, okay, and create a couple of pieces. And then you can come up to the body, and you want to just do kind of lengthy strips, clean out all of that gack inside the squid. You obviously don't need that. And just strip it up, you know, depending on the size of the squid, you may get anywhere from 6 to 10 pieces of bait from every squid. And again, what you're looking for are just nice, clean pieces, just like that. Doesn't need to be fancy, doesn't need to be crazy. Okay, that's all that you need, is just something that those vermilions can easily get down their gullet.
And hey, Rhett, you know, one tip, you know, from that we've used before is when you're using squid, take it out of the packaging if you have some time to rinse it off and prepare it, because some squid comes with the ink sac and can be very messy.
You read my mind.
This squid looks like it's store-bought calamari. You know, it is for television, but you know, in the real world, when you buy a box of frozen squid, if you have the time to defrost it on the way to the dock, or you know, you have a bucket of water, you can throw it in. That way, you're not cleaning up purple ink all over your boat, which does stain and make for a cleanup later on in the day a little bit more difficult. So we've learned to deal with the squid ink. So yeah, rinse your squid and then like put it away like that in a baggie or something. Yeah, and then cut it up later like he's doing.
Yeah, boy, especially the smell. It's just, the squid is so strong, especially if it's sat for a little bit outside. Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. Okay.
Now, the rig, really important when it comes to vermilion snapper fishing. These vermilions, you know, they'll feed certainly on or near the bottom, so they'll come up off the bottom a ways. So I like my rig to have some coverage to it, okay? And you can see this is a 5-hook rig, VMC 2.0 Nemesis circle hooks on 100-pound diamond leader material. You may think that's a little bit big for a fish that averages 1 to 3 pounds, but I like my leader to be a little bit stiff. It gives me more control of that rig, less twist, less tangles. And let me tell you something, you're gonna be surprised at what eats these baits, and at any time it may be a bigger fish. So
wow, so 5 hooks he's setting up. We had 3 and that was still heavy, so
yeah.
Very interesting. All right, we'll have to see. I'll let him.
Looks like he's using lighter gear too in that depth, so he'll have some biceps when he's done.
Yeah, let's see what it looks like when he's bringing them up. But let me continue here.
80 to 100 pound is perfect leader material on your rig. Like I said, a 5-hook rig, but look at the distance that it spans. Starts up here and it just keeps going. I'm probably covering, look at that, 10 feet of the water column, 10 feet. So when I drop that down, my bottom bait is very close to the lead, you know, maybe 18, 24 inches away from that lead right off the bottom, but my top bait is 10 feet off the bottom, and I'm really covering a large area. My lead is going to vary depending on the depth, depending on the speed of the current. Right now the Furuno's saying we're drifting at 0.6 knots. We're in 250 foot approximately. I'm going to start off with 10 ounces. Obviously I need to be in the strike zone. I need to be right on the bottom. Okay, so that's really, really important. Again, a 5-hook rig, I'm not typically trying to catch 5 at a time. I'm trying to catch 1 at a time, you know, but these things are great bait stealers, and oftentimes they'll rip all of that bait off and you'll only end up with 1 or sometimes a double or even a triple, who knows.
So one thing I'm noticing too, and you know, we could probably do a better job, is instead of really bunching that squid up, he's got those strips really hanging free. So you probably lose more bait that way, but I'm guessing it's more attractive looking like that.
Yeah, ices them more when it's wiggling in
Exactly.
the water.
Yep. Man, it'd be a challenge pulling in with 10 feet of bait essentially. You're gonna have fun. You're gonna need some help getting that line in with someone with a net or something. If you
I'm sure the buddy system with a long leader like that and setup would be beneficial.
Yeah, well, let's see what he does.
Get the cameraman, at least the cameraman can help.
Yeah, exactly.
Dual role.
Keep in mind, the limit is 5 per person, so you don't need to catch 5 at one time because you've just caught your entire limit. So that's our whole rig. Not a lot of junk, not a lot of swivels. There's one small little barrel swivel, a 50-pound barrel swivel, right connecting the actual main line right there to the leader, okay, to the rig itself is one small barrel swivel, nothing else, no other terminal tackle on this rig. It's nice and clean. Remember, you're fishing around structure. The less terminal tackle you have, the less times you're going to get hung up, the less weeds, so on and so forth. You want to keep it stealthy, you want to keep it clean when you're vermilion snapping.
All right, so let me jump ahead here to
let's point out the barrel swivel is important because when you're going down in depth like that, all it wants to do is spin like a pinwheel with all that bait.
Yep. Yeah,
and I like the tip with the thicker.
That becomes such a pain. You bring it up and the line's all twisting around itself.
Well, that's where, you know, the heavy leader is a good tip from him. The 80 to 100 pound, it keeps that line very taut, like very rigid, and keeps it from knotting and twisting on itself. Whereas like a 50-pound or something like a braid would just knot on itself.
Yeah, I'm wondering what he's using for his main line. You know, I mean, that could still be 50-pound. He's just using.
Yeah, I hear a lot of folks using 50, like a 50 braid as a backing, and then even higher, like larger leaders like he's got to keep it stiff and in line and not hooking each other, which is a great tip. I can't wait to try that.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
Got clobbered a few times, missed a couple of bites, and again, that's why you fish with a multiple hook rig. And then I finally came tight here on my first drop. And what you want to do with these, I mean, just obviously a steady reel. You know, they're not fantastic fighters. Again, these fish are 1 to 3 pounds, but they're a lot of fun. You know, and you've got to fish a little bit of heavier tackle than you would expect for fish this size, but that's only because we're fishing deep water, quite a bit of lead. You may hook something larger as well. So I'm fishing a Chaos 8-foot conventional rod.
This fish does not look very big. Nothing like what we are catching if he's reeling it up that easy.
Plus, it looks like he's using a geared reel too, which is probably beneficial, being able to go higher speed to travel more ground, or lower speed to torque up a fish, which I haven't had any experience. I haven't moved into that realm yet. You know, electric reels, and I think electric reels and geared reels are in my future, being down here. Yeah,
I agree. You're gonna have to figure that out. I mean, me too, for when I come down there. So well, maybe that'll be one of our videos, is looking on at gear pricing, that kind of stuff.
Yep, trying it out.
Yep, exactly.
With a Daiwa, Oh, it's getting a little bit heavier here. Saltiga 30 HA loaded with 20-pound diamond line. And it looks like that's our first vermilion right there. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. You can see some of my other baits are gone here. Okay, fish that I missed. But that right there, target species. Beautiful. That's a
and what he said right there is key. That's one of the key. If it was real subtle when we were discussing his mainline pound test, and we were thinking 50. He's using braid, but he's using 20 pound, which to me makes sense when you're drifting in that kind of depth, because the thinner the diameter, the less resistance you have on the current, and it keeps your line. And that's why he's fishing with a 10 ounce sinker and getting down there and staying perpendicular with his rig above the reef, because he's using that thin diameter, albeit be a spider, like a wire, like a braid. A lot less.
I'd probably do like a 30, just because you never know when you're going to get hooked on one of those big fish, But
like I said, the more finesse, the more that line cuts through. We've seen the difference between mono and I'll use braid and you use mono, and you can tell that the mono, just that thicker diameter, gets affected by the current that's out there over the reefs when you don't want to anchor.
Yep.
Snapper right there, and that circle hook did its job, got him right in the corner of the mouth as expected. And look, that was actually my last bait. All of my other baits are gone. And this is actually a little bit above average, so don't expect these fish to be jumbos, but there's certainly nothing the matter with a vermilion snapper that size. Fantastic on the dinner table. Man, I'm always dropping fish. There it is right there, nice quality vermilion. Now, minimum size 12 inches on these fish with a 5 per person per day bag limit. But 5 of those give you a couple of great meals. So do it right.
All right,
as the day progresses and as your trip progresses, fine-tune your approach, fine-tune the boat positioning to make sure that you're maximizing every minute that those baits are down on the bottom. It's the detail. It doesn't seem like an incredibly complicated fish to catch, but
what's that?
Be prepared. Have your bait cut. Have your hooks tied. Don't get over the rig. Don't get over the reef and then decide to set up. Get set up ahead of time, and that way, once you get on that reef, and especially if the current's strong, that's a pet peeve of mine. Get over the reef and then not having enough time to get down there, and then you've passed over it and have missed a drift. So
you and I, if we haven't set up ahead, we'll go way past the reef, so we know we have time to set up before we get to it.
And dial in our drift pattern too. You want to go off the drift, off the reef. There could be other folks there fishing the reef, so you gotta kind of want to see how the wind and the current's carrying your boat, and then look at your GPS and kind of overlay that on the reef area in your mind, and use that experience to maximize your drift patterns over the reef. Easier said than done. Easier said than done.
It is, and the other thing too that we didn't talk about here, but you could also, have a spot lock GPS. Yeah. His boat might be a little bit big. I think he's got a larger boat. So
I've seen some pretty big boats with spot locks on them. I've seen a 40-footer with a huge Minn Kota on the front. So yeah, it's amazing what's coming out with the amounts of batteries and the lithium stuff. And there's probably a whole show on spot lock and trolling motors that you could do. That
makes it a lot easier. You just get there, then you can take your time to set up because your boat's doing the work to keep you in place.
Yeah.
It probably depends on the current too. If you got real strong current, you're not going to keep up.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to do it consistently and to catch quality vermilions, it's all in the details. It really is, just like all other fisheries. Ooh, there's another good one right there. Look at that. Yeah. Ooh, fat. And look, that bait's gone. Obviously, all my other baits are gone. I missed a few more and got that one. Perfect. Just those small little adjustments of making sure I'm fishing at the right spot on the right side of the wreck, the right bait, the right hooks. It's all going to come together and allow me to catch my limit.
All right, I'm going to skip ahead to one more.
That could be the best one yet this morning.
Cleaning up.
What's that?
He's cleaning up. He's getting them
Yeah, just like us. Yeah, and you know, I think ours were at least that big.
Yeah, that's pretty much the common size, you know. Like you said, pound and a half, 2 pounds.
Yep. Cool. Okay, I think that's about all he's got on that video. He probably closes with, you know, just a summary. But yeah, we've been here. We've done this. It's a lot of fun. The key, I think, you know, definitely for us, we got to get the geared reels or electric reels because it's just a lot of work. You know, I'd be curious to see if we put braid on there, how much easier it might be to bring it up. I don't know.
Yeah, thinner braid.
Yeah, exactly.
Try rigging one of my poles up.
Okay, so let me switch to the next video. Let's see here. This is your video, but I think I'm featured in it. So
I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yep, here we go. Share. You know what's sad for me is having just gone to Minnesota last week, I'm looking at my snow pants, my bibs there, my boots, all stuff that I got rid of coming down.
Oh, I was going to say, I thought you didn't fit in them anymore.
No, I got rid of everything. Like I sold everything to some guy. I think it was the guy from North Dakota that we met while we were here. Yeah, I sold all of it and like met him halfway, and I just shoved everything into the trailer. And he took everything. He took my fish finder, my poles, my tackle.
I kept all my stuff.
And I regret it a little bit. Jeremy and I were just at Bass Pro, and we were looking at the floatable snow bibs. So they were like, I think the cheapest we found was like $150 after discount. So they're expensive.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I wish I had when I was out fishing last week is you kneel down, you don't realize how much you're kneeling down when you're outside roaming, checking out new places. You have to get down near the ice, and my knees were just soaked every night. So, next time I go, I'll probably have to buy a pair of these. So, all right, I'm going to start this up, and if you want to comment on it.
Sure, this is an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah, all right, here we go.
Gaff, want me to go get it?
Yeah. Here, actually, I don't think we put it in the video. Do you want to let everyone know where we were, what we were doing?
I think I do talk about it in the video, but we're in Devil's Lake, which I think has a new name now.
Devil's Lake,
North Dakota. I think it's called Unified Lake. But it's North Dakota, and it's well known for its perch fishery. But we took a jog over there, and we spent a couple nights out on the ice in your ice hut. And this is right before evening. I remember on one end of the lake, and we met a gentleman down there, and then you hooked into, I won't give it away, but you hooked into a nice sized fish here. And this is all about, if I was the name of this video, I'd call it Rhett Finesse.
Yeah, we've both been here, and I'll say this, you're out fishing for small fish, and I think we had two and maybe 4 pound test line that we're using on these. You don't expect to hook onto a larger fish, so you really have to take your time, and you'll see how nervous, you can tell I'm nervous, because especially the other guy that came that was there fishing near us, I did not want him to grab that line and just start yanking on it. So I think you'll see some of that while we're going through it. I'm like, easy, through this, but I'll play it here.
You're on video.
It's me running for the gaff. You're allowed to use gaffs in the Dakotas. So I put the phone or video camera down on the side while I ran. It gets better here. I come back. I'm out of breath. But if you can listen carefully without me yammering here, you can hear his drag just paying out on the 2 pound line micro setup.
Not yet. He's still fighting. Oh man.
I love that sound.
Whatever it is.
Are gaffs legal in here?
It's still got a ways to go here.
Watch the line. Oh, there he is.
Right here.
hole is so small here.
Hold on.
Get your Buffalo Sabres
Hold
back
on.
there.
Just
I'm not.
let him get the fight out of him.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, it is. I saw the shovel nose.
Hold on. He's still fighting. Hold on.
Yeah, he's gonna cut your line.
There you go. Oh man, look at that one.
Here you go, buddy. That's for you. Hold him up. It's dinner, buddy. Gretzky. North Dakota. Monster.
Pretty fish.
Huh?
Yeah. Gosh, I did not
That's
catch
a pretty
anything
fish
like
here.
that last week. I was hoping for it.
That was a pretty tasting fish too. We had northern pike that night.
Yeah, that was really good.
Some good eatings.
That was also, I think, the night that we saw the Northern Lights.
Yes, that was the night that the Aurora Borealis was going in full effect on that lake. As I said earlier, we spent probably 4 days and 3 nights out on that lake on your ice hut, moving around, catching. We caught so many big perch, and we had that guy there. I don't think we got any walleye, but it was that lake was loaded of perch.
Oh, we got some walleye. Remember, you were at that one rock. You were pulling in
that's
walleye.
right.
It was
we were catching walleye all night. That's right. On that, we had that one rock. We had the video camera, and we could spot that structure. And
Yeah, you were there. I was on the other side. I wasn't catching anything. You're pulling him in like every 5 minutes, another walleye.
It sounds cliche, but you need structure when you're fishing. You need something down on the bottom. You need something, a rock or a change or a ledge or a reef, like where he was catching those Vermilion snappers. That without structure, to me, a lake is like a desert. Until you find that oasis, that gas station underwater, like the pile of rocks. To me, is like a hangout zone.
Yeah,
that's key for finding fish. I think that where we're fishing down at that end of the lake where you got that northern, there was submerged timber. There was a lot of broken up trees.
Yeah, there was actually a dead tree sticking out.
Dead trees sticking out of the ice, and I think that's where the perch hide, and that's where you find the predators, like the big northerns like that hanging around. That's you get more tangled up, and it's a little bit more of a pain. But if you're not getting tangled up or catching on structure, to me, you're not fishing the right spot of the lake, because that's where the fish are hiding. A lot of times, either hiding or ambushing their fish. Sometimes you can get the victims and you can get the predators on reefs and structures. So that's just.
Yeah, you got the Nerf-sized football perch.
Oh, yeah, I remember that when I first ran out and I went to go explore outside. I said, "We found them."
Yeah.
Yeah, so it looked like a Nerf football perch. That's what we call them. They were so big,
Yeah, I think, the key to ice fishing is getting out and drilling a lot of holes and moving around, trying to find the fish. I know with my brother-in-law, it was difficult. We had a lot of gear. You set it up, and you don't want to, tear it all down and move again. So we didn't move as much as I probably would have liked. Next time I go again, we're going to try to move around more, maybe go back to Devil's Lake or whatever it is now. We'll have to see. I want to try and do it at least once a year if I can.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. With ice fishing, it's important to move around. It's a lot different. It's a lot different than being in a boat or walking around the shoreline, even where you can move around without having too much gear. But I think the best tip if you're ice fishing is to set up your gear, make like a home base, and then go out and explore if weather conditions are good, and jump around, because you don't want to stay anywhere for more than 15 minutes. And then if you do find that sweet honey hole, move all the gear. But me, you know how it is. You move, then they're gone. So the fish are on the move. So
yeah.
But finding structure and using the electronics and using maps, and then using your knowledge of that lake that you might have been to before, the area, is key to numbers, and consistency with fishing, because that's what it is. It's fishing. It's not catching.
Right. Yeah. So speaking of jumping around, we're jumping around a little bit on our videos here too. So we got a couple videos based around ice fishing. and then one video based on ocean fishing. And now I'm gonna, pick one. I picked one that is a little bit closer to the fishing I do here in Georgia, which is bass fishing. Of course, you can do some really good bass fishing in Florida, probably better than you can right now here where it's cold. I was out yesterday and didn't catch anything. So
you can tell I miss the ice fishing because I'm in Florida doing ice fishing video reviews. So
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Next year you're coming.
Yep.
All right, let me share the screen. Last video. Oop, hold on. Let's optimize. Oh, good, I got it. Okay.
I have that same box.
February is coming, so today we're talking about the top baits that we rely on to catch fish in February.
All right, so this is Tactical Bassin. He's one of the fishing reviewers, or however you put it, YouTubers that I watch often. I've got a few. Tactical Bassin's one of the big ones. The other one's Mikey Balls Fishing. Both really good. These guys have a little bit more, I would say, tactical information. So let me skip ahead and let him get started with his reviews. Here we go.
Still got a lot of winter left to go. Some of those fish are going to be lethargic, but February represents change. There are fish making moves in February. The very beginnings of transitions towards spawning areas. Fish pulling up shallower on warm afternoons. Fish moving up and working their way along secondary points. And fish making big moves if you happen to get a big flush of water, if a big storm comes through. So there's a lot going on in February. As a result, the baits that we throw is a huge shakeup from the winter time. It's a major return to power fishing.
Man, what a fish.
Big smallmouth.
Yeah. The other funny thing though, I'm watching, these guys are all like dressed, warm jackets and everything. You notice he's got flip-flops on?
Yeah.
I don't know how he could do that. My feet
Probably
would be
60
freezing.
degrees.
Yeah, well, it could be. But that's still chilly. I don't know. These guys are all like buttoned down and zippered up, and he's out there with flip-flops on. But here, let me continue.
Now, typically this video is 5 baits. We've got a few more than that today, but I'm keeping it as simple as I can. I thought the best way to do this would just be to grab one of my day boxes and just run through it for you. I've got a few categories. Category number 1, jerk baits. Let's start right there. Let me pull the jerk baits out of here. Got 2 jerk baits. So in February, in the afternoons, you'll have fish that are feeling that warmth and they start moving up. And that's a prime time to catch them. So I focus my attention on shallower jerkbaits, because if I'm going to pick up a jerkbait, I'm typically chasing those first fish that have begun to make a move. Now, granted, the first day in February, if it's freezing cold, you should probably still be focused on some January baits. But as soon as we start getting into the month and you're feeling those changes, you get one of those days where your hoodie's a little warm on you, that's that day to start branching out and trying. So I like to go up shallow, throw a jerkbait. 2 baits, 2 of these are the same. So 2 baits for you. The Megabass Vision 110, just the standard of all jerkbaits. Such a bread and butter bait, such a fish catcher. This time of year, I tend to focus on either flashier colors or bold colors. I want to draw a reaction strike from fish that are up. The other one is the Shimano World Minnow. It's got that flash boost in it. It's got a ton of flash already. But again, I'm focusing on those bold colors because a lot of times these fish that are moving in and moving up have not been bothered in winter. Sure, I mean, there's guys out there winter fishing, but nothing like spring. So these fish come in, they're aggressive, they want to feed in an aggressive, flashy, hard-moving jerkbait with a lot of roll, can trigger a reaction.
All right. So one thing I am going to say is, you know, the first thing you got to do is know the lake, I think. So he's talking just baits here, but you might have the right bait, but if you aren't at the right place, you're still gonna, you know, not find the fish. That was sort of my day yesterday. I'm still learning the lake. I just put in my Zero Lines auto chart card for my hummingbird. So I'm trying to find the, you know, the little humps and bumps on the bottom, figure out where the fish are. But yeah, it was difficult yesterday. I was only out there for a few hours, so I'm still, you know, discovering right now. So, you know, I'd be curious. I'd love to ask this guy, you know, how well does he know the lake? So he does a few videos where he goes to a lake that he hasn't fished before. And it's interesting. You can see, you know, sort of the tactics they take on where to find the fish. And then the other thing that they don't talk about is the electronics. You know, so one of my next purchases is going to be I think the Garmin. I had a real good talk with the guy at Bass Pro about a front-facing fish finder. I was originally going to go with another Hummingbird because you can network them together. But this guy was talking about the Hummingbird, and the processor is actually really slow. So if you look at their 360 scan, I think they call it, it took so long to draw the screen. And he explained that to me. I mean, if you look at how long it takes to draw the screen around, that basically means it's going to be slow finding fish. So the Garmin, I guess, are the finders. They have a better processor in them. They have some tools that you can, you know, find the fish still. You don't need to use the 360. I mean, the 360 is really nice, but they have their, I forget the name of it, Live Scope product that shows the live fish. And they have some other products. And the other thing too that I discovered is the auto chart technology for Garmin. You don't need to buy that Zero Line card. You can just use a standard SD card. So that's $100 I wouldn't have had to spend on Garmin. You know, and they make everything's Bluetooth with Garmin. So they make a trolling motor that connects via Bluetooth, and then you can actually have, you know, spot lock it or have it follow a contour line all over Bluetooth. You don't have to have any cables going to it. So that to me is another big feature. So anyhow, I'm gonna move ahead here. Let's see. Let's go into his next
70, and then the other one, the Lucky Craft LV 500. Both of these are extremely heavy for their size. They're very small profiled, but 3/4 ounce baits. These are baits that you can chuck and wind, you can cover water, but what we really like to do with them is throw them out and do that slow fishing where you pull your slack and that bait will vibrate up and then you let it fall back to bottom. Vibrate up, fall back to bottom. Almost like aggressively working a jig.
Yeah, Mikey Balls has a video where he's basically letting that thing sink down, and he does a real fast retrieve up over his shoulder, lets it sink back down, and he said that little bit of, you know, when he brings it over his shoulder, brings it up just high enough to pause the bait at a depth before it starts moving, and he said that's when he's getting a lot of his hits. So I'm still, again, trying to hone in those techniques, trying to figure them out, figure out what to use when, you know.
Match the hatch.
Yeah, that too. I mean, that's important too. I don't even know what the hatch is necessarily around here. I have to do some more research, figure it out. It always helps to have someone else to go with too, so that you can both cast something different and see what's working, you know?
Yeah.
And when it's doing that flutter, those fish will come in and just suck that thing. So both of these baits are very specific. I mean, there are hundreds of lipless on the market, but these are very specific baits for me in that they fall very fast for their size. Again, they're very heavy and they're very small. So they'll crash back to bottom really aggressively. And that,
All right, moving ahead.
it's the deal there. Here on the Tennessee River, the Jackal TN70.
Yeah, so he's not far from me, actually. He's on the Tennessee River.
And those are just like basically
rattle traps.
Rattle traps.
Yeah.
Lipless.
Yep, lipless crankbaits.
Gotcha.
I just bought one. I didn't use it. Now I'm regretting not using it yesterday. See if that would have.
Yeah, a lot of noise, a lot of rattle, very heavy, and just like.
Yeah. Now the interesting thing is, I heard a different review, and this probably when the fish are colder. So we're talking here February, where the fish are starting to warm up, move a little bit more. In that real cold water where the fish are just sitting on the bottom, they don't want the loud rattles. They want something very subtle. So it's more of a reaction strike.
Well, if you look in the last clip, they were wearing jeans and t-shirts, so you can kind of look at their what they're wearing to match the season. It probably
exactly.
Spring.
Yep.
Because he's jumping around in different videos.
Yeah, he is probably. All right,
let's go ahead. If you look back at that last largemouth, they stripped down to a little bit warmer. See?
Yeah, they're in the hoodies here.
Yeah, they weren't wearing the outdoor.
Oh, he's got his bibs down. This guy's still wearing the same stuff. He's got flip flops and jeans, but the other guy probably got out of his.
Warming up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I always like to try to catch those little subtle things,
Yep.
If they have a calendar on board the boat,
Yeah, you're always looking for the little things so you can get as
much.
Well, yeah.
When did they post it? When did they post the video?
Right.
I'm always like, "Ooh, is that the time of year they posted it? So is that when they were fishing, or is that 2 months ago? Who knows?"
Yeah, this one's different. So here you can definitely see they're not wearing the same thing. They're bundled up a little bit more.
Their sky's bright blue, where the other one was really cloudy. So
exactly.
Different day, different lake, different time.
Right. Which again, it shows you too. I won't say there's deception, but
editing.
It's easy. Yeah, it's easy to make it look like you're catching a lot of fish on a lake with a particular setup when they might only be catching one or two.
Yeah, it's the joys of editing, and I'm not bagging on these shows, but they have a 20, it's a 30-minute show with commercials. They got about 20 minutes, for the half-hour size, and they condense it down to a lot of editing.
Yeah.
And some do show like the lulls, and sometimes it's the blooper reels, where there's like nothing going on. But they're highlighting all the, it makes it look like. So that's why sometimes watching these shows is difficult to watch them catch fish after fish. But it's probably 3 or 4 days of hard work boiled down to 20 minutes is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've used the just sped up video so you can see how long. It takes time. We work hard for these fish. Gosh, people should know how much work we put into it.
Yeah, we're giving out everyone's all their secrets.
Yeah, the secrets are it's hard work, and you can't just expect to go out and catch fish instantly.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's why they call it fishing. I'll say that 3 or 4 times a show.
Well, don't forget, Top Rig's logo is more catching, less fishing. So that's the goal, is to try and figure out how you get more catching done. But I think that's the reason why so many people enjoy the sport, because it's not just go out there and throw a lure, catch fish. You really have to put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, and it's what's good about it too is like when you are fishing, you're not catching fish, you're also making memories. A family member or a friend, or you're talking through things, or even conversing about the Bible or world events, or so a lot gets done when you're not catching.
Exactly.
So it's not that it's bad time; it's just different time. And sometimes you only have a small amount of time to fish, and you want to catch more fish, and it doesn't always work out. That's what keeps you coming back.
Yep, exactly.
Hey, baits.
All right.
The Demiki Vault.
Next?
And then the Mega Bass, the Dyna Response. Again, similar concept, just like with the lipless, but they're different. The Demiki Vault has a very aggressive, very hard thump. The Dyna response by Megabass, because it has this tail on it, is much more subtle. It's a much tighter vibration. It's one of those things where you have to try both.
I should have thrown one of those. You know, the hard part with the lipless cranks is that, you know, he was using a really heavy one, but it does take him a while to get down there, especially if, like, you know, some of the ridges I was fishing yesterday were 28 feet deep. You know, so you have to wait a little bit to get down there, especially if you don't have a 3/4 ounce weight in those rattle traps. So
you gotta get it down where the fish are at.
Yep. All right, let's skip ahead to his next
Sides, I love this time of year. Just a few for you. I mean, I've got a bunch of colors in here, right? I've got a little bit of chartreuse, a little bit of shad, some cross, some ghost red, a variety of colors, but just a few baits. The big three are these guys right here. First one, Spro Little John. Couple colors. One more bold than the other. If I could only have one crankbait color in the spring, it's that really ghosty blood cross. Yeah, it's sort of clear, but it's still red. Like here, cold-blooded in the River to Sea Biggie. I love that color. If I could only have one, it's that. But if the water gets dingier, like last year, I had pretty dingy water in the spring, then I'm all about those red and oranges, that bolder, harsher.
That's exactly what I was throwing yesterday.
Like
Man,
like a fire orange.
Yeah, let's see if I can get. You can just sort of see it there.
Yeah, it's sort of key. Darker water, the brighter colors, but not too bright. It's still, you know, the red spectrum, it seems like, for this case.
Yeah, we had a lot of rain, so the water is a little murky. So that's why I was trying to throw something a little brighter. But, you know, again, sometimes it just doesn't work out.
And oranges, that bolder, harsher color. But bait number one, that Spro Little John, flat-sided bait. It's not silent. It's got a ball in it, but it's almost silent. The low thud of that ball is extremely low. It's not like a rattle, but it's just a low thud. That is such a deadly bait. I've lost count of the fish I've caught with that thing. The other one is the River to Sea Biggie. That's my bread and butter. That bait is loud. It's obnoxious. Comes with size 2 trebles. So if I know I'm going to be around big ones, I throw that, because if I get them, I've got them on big hooks. And then the last one, the OG. That guy right there, that garage crank, again, flat-sided bait I crushed with.
Yeah, that's what I was throwing yesterday right there.
Oh, interesting.
All right, let's see. I'm going to skip ahead because this is a longer video. Let's go to this one.
Two baits that I really like this time of year. One is the River to Sea S-Waver, the 168. It's a cover glide. Smaller glide bait, super aggressive movements. We're able to really dance it and twitch it and work it right around the edges of cover without covering a lot of water. So without leaving the space, I'm able to really dart it and work it right near the fish. And I have crushed all the way through the cold water months and into the spring. Tim and I now for, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years have crushed every spring with an S-Waver. It's unreal. And then the other one is a mag draft. Both the 6-inch and the 8-inch mag draft. But we did a lot of damage last spring with the 6-inch. Built a lot of confidence in that bait. The thing with the mag draft is it has it's got like a happy speed. So throw it out, start rolling it, and go a little slower or a little faster until you find just that perfect tail kick. And once you've got that, your speed is set. And I just cover water. I run it right over the tops of laydowns, skip it under docks, run it down the side of trees, or just fan cast it back on those shallow flats where fish might be pulling up in the afternoons to poke around. I'll just fan cast over that. You're presenting a big meal. They'll come out and get that thing. And again, I throw both the 6-inch and the 8-inch. The 8-inch has more drawing power.
I don't think I have any 6-inch or 8-inch swim baits. right now. So I might have to buy some more gear. You know, I mean, every time you hear this, the crazy thing is everyone throws something a little bit different. You know, I try to find consistency when I watch these videos. A lot of guys, the rattle trap, or I should say the crankbaits, are probably one of the most common that you hear. Jerk baits may be a little less common. Swim baits, I see smaller finesse, especially in the cold. Not as much of the big stuff, but obviously, you know, some guys are throwing them, and you know, the bigger you throw, the more likely you are to get a good fish. So I guess that's the trade-off. All right, let me see if he's got anything else here. Let's switch ahead here.
So a lot of times where this will happen, or where this will shine for me, is when we get a big flush of water. We get a big storm, a lot of rain starts coming in, that rainwater starts coming down the creeks, blows out into the lake, you get all that chocolate milk water, but it brings a lot of debris with it too. I love to run back to that water and throw in the moving water. But a lot of times, this time of year, because the lakes are still filling, there'll be a lot of laydowns, debris, junk in the backs of those pockets. So I use that flashy swimmer because it's a weedless hook. And I'm able to fish it right up shallow on those fish. But that was...
Yeah, I actually tried one of those yesterday with just a small swim bait on it. And again, nothing, but actually on the lake that I've been fishing, I've had the most success on that that jig with a spoon underneath it. Yeah, it works really good.
Flasher.
What's that?
The little flasher.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of like a buzz bait, right?
Yes, exactly. It's a lot like a buzz bait with like a swim bait on top. So, you know, very similar. So, all right, I think I'm going to stop this video here. Let me switch back to my presentation. All right, so we got through video 1, video 2, video 3, and video 4. And so we'll finish it up here. Thanks, Jim, for joining. Hopefully,
anytime.
This was fun for you. And just want to remind everyone, please like and subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. Really, our first goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So, you know, we're hoping you hit that subscribe, help us grow our audience, bring this information to more people, especially, like I said, build a community that we know and we love, and we can help out directly. You know, we're here for you. Ask your questions. Let's work together and find a way to catch more fish and enjoy the outdoors. Make sure you comment on the videos. Ask in those comments. You could ask questions, make suggestions, add your prayer requests if you have prayers that you need to be said, and suggestions for future reviews. Any other thoughts from you, Jim?
No, I think it's a very good inaugural show, and look forward to adding more to the content in the future.
All right. Yeah, I'm not sure if our video is going to be showing on top of some of what we reviewed when I was sharing the screen. So I'm going to be playing around with different technologies, make sure I put this in a format that works best for everyone too. So more to come, more improvements to be made, but thanks for everyone for joining. Thanks, Jim. Have a good night.
Take care. See you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.